Emma had lived in the same small town her whole life. Green Hollow was the kind of place where everyone knew everyone, where the coffee shop owner remembered your order, and where nothing exciting ever seemed to happen. At 26, she worked at the town library, surrounded by quiet shelves and the soft smell of old paper. She liked her life. It was calm, predictable, safe. But safe wasn't the same as happy. Every evening after closing the library, Emma walked home along the river. It was autumn, and the leaves fell like slow, golden rain. She always passed an old wooden bench near the bridge. The same bench where 10 years ago she had said goodbye to someone she never forgot. His name was Daniel. They had been 18, best friends since childhood, and then in their last summer before university, something had changed between them. A look that lasted too long, a hand that didn't let go. But before either of them could say the words, Daniel's family moved away. He left for college on the other side of the country, and Emma stayed in Green Hollow. They promised to write letters. For the first few months, they did. Emma still remembered the excitement of finding an envelope with his handwriting in her mailbox. But slowly, the letters became shorter. Then they stopped completely. Life moved on, as it always does, even when we don't want it to. Emma never married. She dated a few people over the years, but no one made her feel the way Daniel had. She told herself it was just a childhood memory, nothing more, just nostalgia. But every autumn, when the leaves began to fall, she thought of him. One cold October evening, Emma was closing the library when an old man walked in, just minutes before closing time. "I'm sorry," Emma said gently. "We're closing in 5 minutes." "I won't be long," the man said. He had kind eyes and gray hair, and something about his voice felt familiar, though Emma couldn't say why. "I'm looking for someone. I was told the librarian here might be able to help me." "I can try," Emma said. "What are you looking for?" The old man reached into his coat and pulled out a small, worn box. "My son passed away last spring," he said quietly. "Cancer. He fought for 2 years." Emma's chest tightened. "I'm so sorry." "Thank you," the man said. "While we were cleaning his apartment, we found this box. Dozens of letters, unsent, all addressed to a woman named Emma in a town called Green Hollow." He looked up at her. "My son's name was Daniel." The room seemed to disappear around her. Emma's hands trembled as she reached for the box. "You're Emma?" the old man asked, his voice breaking slightly. She could only nod. Her throat felt too tight to speak. "He talked about you until the end," the man said. "He told me once that leaving Green Hollow was the biggest mistake of his life. He said he wrote you letters for years, but he was afraid you had moved on, afraid you didn't feel the same way, afraid of being rejected. So he never sent them. He just kept writing and kept them in this box. Emma stared at the box in her hands. 10 years. 10 years of silence. And this whole time, he had never stopped thinking of her either. "May I take these home?" she whispered. "They belong to you," the old man said. "He would have wanted you to have them." That night, Emma sat by her window with the box on her lap. She didn't turn on the lights. She just watched the moonlight fall across the pile of envelopes, each one labeled with a date. The earliest was from 11 years ago. The last one was dated only 3 months before Daniel died. She opened the first letter with shaking hands. "Dear Emma, I know I haven't written in a while, and I'm sorry. College is harder than I thought it would be, and sometimes I feel so far from everything I know. But every time I feel lost, I think about our bench by the river, and somehow I feel calm again. I keep thinking about that last night before I left. I wanted to tell you something, but I was too scared. Maybe I'll tell you next time I write. Maybe I'll tell you when I come home. I miss you more than I expected to. Daniel." Tears filled Emma's eyes. She opened the next letter and the next, watching years pass through his words. She read about his struggles at university, his fears, his small victories, his loneliness in a city full of strangers. And through every letter, one thing never changed. He always mentioned her, the bench by the river, her laugh, the books she used to recommend him. He wrote as if she were still a part of his everyday life, even though they hadn't spoken in years. Then she reached the final letter, dated 3 months before his death. "Dear Emma, the doctors say I don't have much time left. I'm not writing this to make you sad. I'm writing because I need you to know something I should have told you 11 years ago. I loved you. I think I still do. Not the memory of you, but you, the real you, wherever you are now, whoever you've become. I was a coward. I let fear control my life. And because of that fear, I lost the only thing that ever truly made me happy. Actually talking to you, hearing your voice, not just imagining what you'd say." If you ever read this, I hope you're happy. I hope you found someone who makes you feel the way our old bench by the river used to make me feel, like everything was going to be okay. Thank you for being the best part of my life, even from far away. I'm sorry I never sent these. I was always planning to send them someday. I guess someday never really comes unless you make it come. All my love, always. Daniel. Emma pressed the letter to her chest and cried. Not just from sadness, but from something deeper. Grief for the years they lost. Anger at the fear that had kept them both silent. And underneath it all, a strange, quiet gratitude that, in the end, he had told her the truth. The next morning, Emma walked to the bridge. The same bench was still there, older now, the wood a little more worn. She sat down and looked out at the river, the golden leaves floating slowly on the water's surface. She thought about all the letters she had never written either, the ones she had been too afraid to send, out of fear that he wouldn't feel the same way. "I loved you too," she whispered to the wind. "I just never said it." She stayed there for a long time, watching the river carry the leaves downstream, thinking about how strange life was, how two people could love each other for over a decade in silence, separated not by distance, but by fear. From that day on, Emma changed. She still worked at the library. She still walked home by the river every evening. But now, whenever she felt afraid to say something important to a friend, a stranger, someone she loved, she remembered Daniel's letters. Someday never really comes unless you make it come. She began to write her own letters, not to Daniel, but to the people still in her life. She told her mother she loved her more often. She told an old friend how much their friendship meant to her. And when, a year later, she met a kind man named Michael at a poetry reading in the next town, she didn't wait for someday to tell him she liked him. She said it the same evening they met. Some stories don't get the ending we hope for, but sometimes the ending we get, painful as it is, teaches us how to write a better story with the time we have left. The end.